In this exercise, we will examine the maintenance procedures for our Autobox ABX-500 system, our hands-free hose control device for use with any StoneAge rotary nozzle. The ABX-500 is an automated system designed for controlling the feed and retraction rates of a high-pressure hose, ensuring effective coverage when cleaning pipes or ducts. The control box allows the operator to perform all functions while safely removed from the high-pressure nozzle. The ABX-500 system is designed to accommodate a range of high-pressure hose diameters from 0.56 to 1.75 inches and passes couplings up to 1.75 inches in diameter as well. In this session, we will review the features of the ABX-500, how to change the drive rollers, and procedures for checking and refilling the synthetic gear oil. We will also look at the control box, checking the oil level in the reservoir and color coding the hoses. Finally, we'll prep the system for storage between applications. The tools required for these procedures are few and simple. You'll need a 1/8, a quarter, and a 3/8 inch hex wrench, a crescent wrench or 2 box wrenches, a 7/16 inch and a 7/8 inch. A little 242 blue Loctite will also come in handy, and, if necessary, air tool oil and synthetic gear oil. These items come with your purchase, a second set of drive rollers and a packet of Loctite. Start by opening the front panel. Locate the pin locks halfway up each side. With those two pins released, the front panel will swing down, exposing 2 sets of rollers and the oil level sight glass. The top rollers are pressure rollers and usually require no maintenance. The drive rollers on the bottom are also maintenance-free. However, the rollers will change out to accommodate different hose diameters. The oil level sight glass, shown here, is a window for monitoring the synthetic gear oil level in the gearbox. We'll look at that in detail in a little bit. For now, back to the rollers. The rollers come off easily by removing the bolts that secure them to the drive shafts. For now, remove only the bolt on the left-hand roller, which will illustrate an important point. Use a 7/16 inch wrench to accomplish this. With the bolt removed, you can watch the rollers rotate, and more important, position the shaft keys at the top of the cycle. If not already done, power up the system now by connecting the 3 air lines that run from the control box to the appropriate terminals on the top of the Autobox. Powering up the system will allow you to rotate the drive rollers into the proper position. While performing routine maintenance, the technician here is also checking the operation of the pressure rollers. Note the key slot and key in the drive shaft, now exposed by removing the first bolt. Operate the controls until that slot is up to the top or 12 o'clock. This will allow you to remove the roller while allowing the key to stay in place and not fall out. This small step makes reassembly much easier. Repeat the procedure with the second roller using your 7/16 inch wrench. The drive rollers are synchronized so the shaft keys are in the exact same position on each shaft. With the second roller removed, you can see how the shafts and keys match up. With both rollers off, it's a good time to look at the differences between the two sets. The roller on the left is designed for smaller diameter hoses from 0.56 to 1 inch. The roller on the right has a deeper valley for receiving larger hoses, from 1 inch to 1.75 inch. A 1 inch hose can be used with either set of rollers. For now, we'll replace the large rollers in the box. Slide the rollers on, matching up the keys and slots. Apply 242 Loctite to the threads on each bolt and replace both. Tighten with your 7/16 inch wrench and close the front panel. Lock the pin locks. Next, you can remove the top panel. This allows you to access the internal components as well as the ability to refill the system with synthetic gear oil. Start by disconnecting the 3 air lines connecting the ABX-500 to the control box. Use a crescent wrench or a 7/8 inch box wrench for this. Be sure to replace the caps over the terminals. There are 6 screws holding the top panel in place, 3 in the front and 3 in the back. Use a 1/8 inch hex wrench to loosen and remove these screws. With the screws removed, the top will lift up and over the terminals, exposing the internal components. This is a top view of the internal workings. You can see the oil fill port, the gearbox case breather, 2 air clamp cylinders, the manifold, the air motor, and the gearbox. Usually, the main reason to remove the top is to refill the system with synthetic gear oil. There are 2 ways to check the oil level. The first way is using the sight glass you saw earlier between the 2 rollers. The gear oil has an orange tint, and the sight glass will be the same color when full. If the gearbox is low on oil, the sight glass will appear clear. The second option for determining the proper oil level is to remove the back panel and use the oil fill plug in the back. Here's how to do it. Pop off the back panel by removing the 9 screws with your 1/8 inch hex wrench. There are 6 on the back and 3 more underneath. With the panel off, locate the oil fill plug on the gearbox wall. Rotate the box so it stands upright. With the Autobox upright, the procedure is to remove the plug in the rear with a 1/4 inch hex wrench. You may want to remove the air hose from the fitting to make the plug more accessible. Next, pour synthetic gear oil into the fill hole in the top view you saw earlier. When oil begins to exit the rear port, you are at the correct level. The second method is a little more complex. Utilizing the sight glass between the rollers is definitely easier. With those tasks completed, replace the panels, back panel first. Replace all the screws with a 1/8 inch hex wrench. While the technician is doing this, here's a word about synthetic gear oils. We recommend Mobil SHC 634 synthetic or a fully synthetic alternative. We never mix conventional and synthetic oils. Next, replace the top panel. The top panel fits over the side panels like a cover. That's why we put the back panel on first. Tighten all screws. Now let's take a look at the control box. Underneath the front side of the control box, you'll find a reservoir of air tool oil that should be monitored. Here's how. First, remove the protective housing by releasing the lock at the top. Rotate the housing 1/4 turn and the housing should slide down and off, exposing the oil reservoir. The reservoir has a threaded connection. Simply unscrew it and remove it. Fill the reservoir with oil to the proper level marked on the side. When filled, screw the reservoir back in place and replace the protective housing. Make certain you engage the lock at the top of the housing as shown. A couple of notes regarding hoses. As mentioned before, the terminals on the Autobox and the control box are color-coded so you can match them up properly. We recommend using color-coded tape on the ends to facilitate easy and correct hookups. Finally, when storing your Autobox between jobs, we recommend introducing a little air tool oil into the air motor. To do this, remove one of the drive hoses from its terminal at the control box. Pour in a little oil. Operate the controls for a few seconds, running the system forward and backward. This will draw oil into the air motor, which is an excellent way to store the system during downtime. We also tape the end of our hoses so they remain dust and dirt-free. That's it. Thanks for watching, and as always, our staff of technical specialists is always on hand to answer any questions you may have. Have a great day, and keep on blasting.